Hi, in this lesson we're going to learn how to make Geometry Dash, which is a game where Square slides through a dangerous environment and has to avoid spikes and other obstacles. In the process of making this game, we're going to learn about debugging and concurrency. So let's dive in. So tap this gray plus button to get your characters. And let's start by adding a square. So drag out a text object and put it somewhere around here, like 250 by 320. So now to set the text, we're going to use an emoji. And if you don't have emoji, get the keyboard emoji from your iPad's settings. So I'm assuming you have emoji. Tap on the emoji button, and then go all the way to the end where you see these squares, and let's pick this square, which I think is pretty cool. It's the white square with the black background. You can pick anything you want, by the way, but this is the one I'm going to use. Cool. So now press done, and this is your new hero. This is kind of small, so let's make it a little bit bigger. So add a rule to your square by tapping add a new rule, and pick when the play button is tapped, which just means when the game starts. Then go down to the green tab, which is looks and sounds. Tap that open and find set size. Drag that out and type in 200. And what this is going to do is make the square a little bit bigger. So to see your work, press play, and it's a little bit bigger. Great, and that's exactly what we want. Now go back to edit, and now let's program the square to jump when you tap the screen. So tap out of this editor, like in this beige area, and now you're back in the rules menu, and tap add a new rule. We want a new rule, and so for the when of this menu, we want to pick when iPad is tapped. Now go to the red tab, which is the movement menu, and drag out a change Y block, which makes your square go up or down. So let's set change Y to 150. And just press play to see what that looks like. So when you tap the screen, it does that. And now we need it to come back down. So let's add another change Y block under the first. And this time pick negative 150. So negative Y means going down. So press play, and let's see what that looks like. Cool. All right, so now we've taught our square how to jump. We go back to edit. Now let's have it do a flip. So to do a flip, we'll need to turn our cube 180 degrees. Or if you're using a different type of character, you may want to turn them 360 degrees. It's up to you. In any case, to turn, we need to use the turn block, which we can find under movement. So then let's pull it out, and if we put in 180 degrees, then it would actually do a backflip because a positive number in this block will turn it counterclockwise. So what we want instead is to turn negative 180 degrees. And let's see what happens if we do this. So tap. So something seems to be wrong, right? Because this isn't what a front flip looks like. So let's think about what we want to happen and figure out what mistake we made and how to fix it. And this is referred to as debugging. So what we want is to turn and jump at the same time, which is how you flip. So if we go back to edit, we know that the when here is when iPad is tapped. And right now we've written that when that happens, and then this happens. So how do we get these two things to happen and this to happen at the same time? We start with the same when in a new rule. So drag this off and exit out of this rule and pick a new rule and then go to the same when, which is iPad is tapped, and now we're going to do something else here, which is to turn. So go to movement, pull out a turn block, pick negative 180 degrees, and now this will happen when the iPad is tapped, and this will happen when the iPad is tapped, and they'll happen at the same time, and that's referred to in programming as concurrency. So let's see if it works. Nice. There you go. Let's go back to edit. So now let's add a background. So let's add a new character. Pick whatever you want. We just need a character that will draw the background for us. So let's add a new rule when the play button is tapped. And the first thing we need is for Cupcake to disappear because all she's doing is drawing the background. She's not a part of this game. So go to looks and sounds and drag out and go to more and drag out a set invisibility block which will make her invisible. But to do that, we need to set invisibility to 100, because 100 means fully invisible, and 0 means not invisible at all. Then let's leave a trail, which is how you draw in Hopscotch. So go to the purple drawing menu, pull out leave a trail. This will make Cupcake draw a line. So let's make the color of our background, which I'll just pick green, I guess. And the width, let's make that 3000. And that means this line is going to be so thick that it covers the whole screen, which is what we want. And then move forward only needs to be 1, because this is basically a giant dot that covers the screen. Then let's set Cupcake to be over here in the bottom left corner of the screen so she can draw the ground. So go to movement, pull out set position, pick X as 0, which means the very left end of the screen, and Y can be 150. And this puts Cupcake in a position here to draw the ground. So then let's draw the ground. So go to drawing, which is purple, pull out another leave a trail, and let's make the color whatever you want the ground to look like. So I'll do blue, I guess. And then the width, let's make it 300. It's like a very thick line. And let's move forward the length of the screen. So let's do 1050, which is about the length of the screen. Now take a look. Cool. Okay, so let's make that happen a little faster by going to movement and pull set speed up to the very top above everything and set it to 1,000,000 jillion. Okay, and now it's a much faster background. Awesome. So now let's add a spike. Exit out of this rule, and let's add a new object, which we're going to use as our spike. So pull out a text object and go to emoji, which is this button over here. Let's go all the way to the end of the emoji menu and find this triangle over here. Again, you can use anything as an obstacle, but I'm going to use this. And this is already too small, so the first thing we're going to do is make it bigger. So add a new rule when the play button is tapped, and to grow things, you need to go to looks and sounds and find set size. Let's set the size of this to 200. Bigger spike. Cool. Let's see what that looks like. Great. Okay, so now we want it to look like lots of spikes show up as you move forward. So here's the way to do that. So let's add a new rule. When the play button is tapped, let's make the spike invisible first until you approach it. So go to looks and sounds, and when the game starts, you don't see any spikes. So set invisibility to 100. So drag out that block, put in 100. Then we want to set the position of the spike to the very right end of the screen and then right on the floor. So we're going to use a set position block that's red, it's in movement, drag it out, set X to 1000 and Y to 300. That will put it right here on the right edge. Then we want to see the spike. So go to looks and sounds, drag out a set invisibility, make it 0. Great. Then we want the spike to move to the left edge of the screen. So we're going to go to movement and pull a change X by, which moves things left or right. And we're going to move it -1000. And then it will move to the left end of the screen. And then press check. And then you want it to disappear again. So go to set invisibility and put 100. So then we want to use a weight block. So go down to the blue control flow tab, go to more, and pull out a weight block. And this will have the spike wait until you see the next one. And the amount we want is going to change depending on the spike. So pick random and choose between 100, which means the next spike is coming immediately after the last one, and whatever you want here, but I'm going to put 1000, which means it's going to take a little longer for the next spike to come. And this way, the spikes are staggered. Now, let's put all of this in a repeat forever block. So drag out repeat forever and drag each of these into this block so that they're all in the same order. And this means you're going to keep seeing spikes coming one after another. So double check that this is the correct order of your blocks. Now press play. Cool. Okay, so when you tap, you can jump over the spike. Cool. So one problem now is that when the square touches the spike, nothing happens. And that's not the case with normal Geometry Dash. What you want to happen is that the square explodes if it touches the spike. So we need to make a rule for that. So let's go to square and add a new rule and say when the square bumps the spike. So go to more and find bumps and pick square for the first bubble and then tap the second bubble and pick spike for the second bubble and press check. And so what we want to happen is that when the square bumps the spike, it explodes. So go to looks and sounds and go to set text and go to this keyboard, remove all that text and go to emoji and let's find the explode image. It's right here. Okay. So then pick done and then so it's going to explode and let's let it look like this for, I don't know, 300 seconds. So pull out a wait, which is blue, control flow. That'll wait 300 milliseconds. And then let's make it disappear. So set invisibility, which is green. Let's set it to 100. Cool, let's see what that looks like. So I avoided there, but I don't hear, oh, and it explodes. Awesome. And there you go. You now have a basic working version of Geometry Dash. Now see if you can add to this by making a cool background or more obstacles. Remember, coding is a creative activity, so don't be afraid to play around and explore as you add to your project. See you next time.